Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we are plunging into a challenge that feels, well, incredibly universal. Whether you're navigating a new language or just trying to keep pace in any environment where information is coming at you fast and thick, understanding fast native speakers.
It's something almost everyone bumps up against at some point. We've got a few sources here, but the main one we're digging into today, it's this great narrative. Gives us a really unique window into this exact struggle.
Right.
It follows the journey of a young woman, Lily, who moves to New York City. Big goal. Really understand and communicate in real-world English.
Okay, so it tracks her experience kind of step by step, from feeling totally lost to figuring it out.
Exactly. From being completely overwhelmed, lost in translation, all the way to finding her rhythm and getting some real confidence.
So our mission for this deep dive is to take Lily's story, her journey, and pull out those essential insights, the practical strategies, maybe those aha moments. What can you, listening, learn from her experience to help cut through that information overload when the pace picks up, feel more confident keeping up?
And what's really powerful about this source, I think, is that it isn't just a list of tips like from a textbook.
No.
It's the messy, emotional, the lived reality of learning to navigate communication at full speed.
Yeah.
It really highlights that understanding fast English.
Yeah.
It isn't just about vocabulary or grammar. It's about learning to listen differently, sort of learning to dance with the language as it's actually spoken.
Okay, let's start right at the beginning then. Lily's story. She arrives in New York. She studied English for years, right? Knows the grammar cold, passed the exams.
Oh, yeah. She's got the foundation on paper, reads complex texts, understands movies, but, with subtitles or if people speak slowly, she feels ready, prepared.
But reality hits pretty fast.
Instantly. The moment she steps off the plane, airport security guard mumbles something quick. She has no idea. Just smiles, nods. Lost. Taxi driver tells a joke, goes right over her head, and then that classic coffee shop moment. For here or to go.
And she freezes.
Totally freezes. Manages a hesitant, yes, it's like immediate proof. Classroom English, real-life speed English. Two completely different beasts.
And this is where it gets really relatable, I think, for anyone facing a new, fast environment. The source mentions the subway. Even worse.
Oh, way worse. The speed, the sheer noise, all the slang flying around. What you doing? Gotta catch the L. He's kind of sketchy.
Things people just toss out.
Exactly. And people cutting off words, sounds merging together. She said it felt like she'd suddenly dropped into a different language entirely. She knew the words, technically, but not the speed, the rhythm, the actual meaning when they smash together like that.
Wow. So that leads to a real low point for her.
Definitely. Later that night, just feeling totally defeated, isolated, the source says she whispers to herself, I'll never understand them.
Oof. Yeah, that captures that feeling perfectly. Just overwhelmed, wanting to give up.
But then, something clicks. She remembers something her old English teacher told her.
Oh.
Yeah, something like, understanding native speakers takes more than grammar. It takes listening, time, patience. Don't just study English. Live it.
Live it. Okay.
And that memory, it sparks something. It's a turning point. She gets her notebook.
Okay.
And she writes down this commitment. Her first sentence, bold and clear, I will understand fast English speakers. I will not give up.
So it wasn't just a wish. It was an active decision. Tackle it head on.
Exactly. She decided she wasn't going to wait for it to happen. She was going to actively train herself. Her real-world training started like the very next morning.
Okay, so what did that training look like?
Well, one of her first strategies was listening to short podcasts every day.
Makes sense.
She deliberately started with slower ones, then gradually moved to faster ones, native speakers just talking about everyday life.
Yeah.
But the key wasn't just passive listening. She was actively engaging, pausing when she didn't understand, actually looking up the words or phrases, and then listening to that section again. Really focused, active listening. That was foundational.
And she used shadowing too, right? That technique where you repeat what you hear.
Yeah, exactly. Repeating sentences out loud right after the speaker, trying to mimic their rhythm, their intonation. The source mentions how awkward it felt at first, clumsy even. Her mouth wasn't quite doing what the speakers did.
I can imagine. It feels weird.
Totally. But practicing the actual physical act of making those sounds at speed, it really helped her get the flow, the rhythm of it.
And she combined that with real-life practice.
She did. Started small, low-pressure situations, at the coffee shop, asking the barista, how's your day going? Striking up little chats with dog walkers in the park.
Just building confidence little by little.
Yeah. And what she focused on during those little chats wasn't just catching every single word. She was tuning into what the source calls the music of the language.
The music, like the intonation.
Yeah, the rise and fall of voices, where people naturally pause, which words they stress. Learning to listen for the patterns, the emphasis, not just individual words in a list.
That's a really interesting way to put it. She also had this no subtitles rule, right?
Mm-hmm.
For watching videos.
She did, at least once a day. And apparently it was incredibly frustrating at first. She'd miss huge chunks of conversation.
Oh, I bet. That sounds tough.
But the source really highlights the gradual progress. First, maybe catching just a sentence here, a joke there. It's a powerful lesson, really, in pushing through that discomfort for the eventual payoff.
So after doing all this for about a month, did she notice a difference?
Big difference, yeah. The source notes she answers a tourist asking for directions, just automatically. No pausing to translate in her head.
Wow.
And she has this comfortable, flowing 30-minute chat with her roommate's friend. Just natural conversation.
That must have felt amazing.
Huge. And this leads to her key realization. She wasn't translating anymore. She was just understanding. And the source really emphasizes this shift wasn't magic. It wasn't sudden. It was the direct result of that dedicated training, listening with purpose, being willing to make mistakes, ask questions, and just trying again and again. It really underscores the power of consistent, active effort. Passive exposure wasn't enough.
Okay, so she's built this foundation. But the real world doesn't stop throwing curveballs.
Yeah.
Especially with fast group conversations.
Absolutely not. The next big hurdle described is navigating group dynamics. Her roommate, Ava, invites her to this casual dinner party. Friends who are described as very fast talkers.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. The source says Lily's nerves were so bad, her stomach felt like a blender.
I think we've all felt that.
Yeah.
So what was the environment like?
Vividly depicted, quick overlapping conversations, words just bouncing around like a pinball machine. Lily initially just kind of retreats, sits on the edge, trying desperately to catch even fragments of sense.
That sounds familiar, like trying to follow a super fast meeting at work or something.
Exactly. And there's a specific example. One of the friends, James, tells this story. So I walk in, right? Bro, it's been 5 hours. I'm like, dude, I just stepped out to grab a bite. Everyone laughs.
And Lily.
Just blinking. Completely lost in the punchline. She understood the individual words, but missed the humor, the timing, the whole context.
So what did she do? Just shut down?
No. And this is key. Instead of shutting down, she applies a strategy that's starting to become instinctual for her. Don't panic. Don't try to catch everything.
Okay.
Focus on picking out keywords like walk in, 5 hours, grab a bite. Then guess the context based on those anchors. She figures out, okay, it's probably about him being late, or taking too long.
Makes sense.
And the source notes she manages the soft chuckle, not because she got the joke, but because she was actively trying to engage, to connect, to stay in the flow.
That's strategy keywords, guessing context. It's huge.
Yeah.
That's not just language learning, is it? That's dealing with any kind of information overload.
You're totally right. You can't process every single data point coming at you sometimes. You learn to identify the crucial signals and infer the rest. Lily was learning to do that in real-time conversation.
So did anyone talk to her directly?
Yeah, another friend, Megan, turns and speaks right to her. Asks about her hometown, Quebec, moving to New York, and the source really captures Lily's internal hesitation. And she's worrying about getting verb tenses right, searching for the perfect word like culture shock.
The pressure's on.
Yeah. But again, the source highlights her bravery. She needs clarification on something Megan says. She actually asks, what does totally wiped mean?
Good for her. Asking is hard.
So hard. But Megan's great about it, explains it means super tired, exhausted, and Lily's follow-up is brilliant. Like, after walking 10 blocks in summer, she immediately connects it to her own experience. She's not just getting a definition, she's integrating it. That willingness to ask is just crucial for cracking that secret code of informal language.
Did that change things for her at the party? Asking that question.
The source describes a definite shift after that moment. She kind of lets go of agonizing over understanding every single word. She starts tuning into the broader communication cues.
Like what?
The rhythm of the conversation, people's body language, their tone of voice, the pauses, the gestures. James, the storyteller, apparently uses really expressive hand movements. Another guy, Paul, keeps saying, "You know what I mean?" She starts noticing all of that.
So it's less about decoding words and more about feeling the vibe.
Exactly. It's this realization that each person has their own conversational music, right? Their own speed, rhythm, slang, habits. Understanding becomes less about analyzing individual words in isolation and more about feeling the overall flow. The source uses this wonderful analogy. It was like learning to dance by finally stepping onto the dance floor.
I love that.
Yeah.
Learning to dance by being on the dance floor. Did she join the dance?
She did. By dessert, she feels comfortable enough to jump in, tells her own short story, something about getting lost on the subway, and she consciously works on the timing, landing the punchline. Everyone laughs, not just being polite, like they genuinely got it. She was contributing to the music, part of the conversation.
That's a huge win.
Massive. Ava tells her later, "You did amazing tonight." And Lily's journal entry from that night really nails it. English isn't just about words, it's about people. Understanding fast English, she realizes, is about feeling the flow, learning to dance with the words, listening with her eyes, her heart, her whole attention. She wasn't just a passive listener anymore. She was becoming an active participant.
Okay, fast forward 3 months. She's made huge progress, clearly. But English still feels like a secret club sometimes.
Absolutely. The source points out the next big challenge, really digging into idioms and slang. That informal language native speakers use without thinking, but which can sound completely bizarre if you're learning.
Right, the stuff that doesn't translate literally at all.
Exactly. She's at a street fair. Food truck guy shouts, "These tacos are fire."
And she thinks,
Literal thought. Did something catch fire? Are they burnt? Until Ava explains, no, it just means really good, delicious.
happens all the time. What other examples does she run into?
Oh, loads. Someone mentions a friend who totally ghosted them.
Meaning just disappeared, stopped texting.
Right. But Lily's reaction is like a ghost. Very dramatic. Because literally, it is dramatic. The source lists a bunch of others she heard on cloud 9 for very happy, spill the tea for sharing gossip.
Hit the book for a study.
Yep. Broke the bank for spent too much, feeling blue for sad, pulling someone's leg for joking. These are everywhere, but they're like secret passwords if you haven't learned them.
There was another good one with a vendor, but
Yeah, the jewelry vendor saying her items are flying off the shelves.
and Lily's thinking,
Are they really flying? Her literal brain just kicks in. But the vendor is kind, explains it just means selling fast, and then offers this really wonderful reassurance. English is weird. Even native speakers mess it up sometimes.
that's so important to hear, I think, that validation.
Totally. And she faces some embarrassment, too, like the what's your deal, misunderstanding.
Oh, yeah, tell that one.
Ava's friend asks her casually, so what's your deal? And Lily just panics, thinks she's being accused of something. I don't have a deal.
Oh, no.
Until Ava jumps in laughing, clarifies it just means, what's your story? Or what are you up to? They all end up laughing about it.
You have to laugh sometimes. So these encounters lead her to start keeping track.
Yeah, she starts this dedicated list in her notebook, weird English, but useful. And she writes down phrases like, that's fire, ghosted, spill the tea, on cloud 9, flying off the shelves, what's your deal?
Smart. And she adds a reminder for herself.
A crucial one. Don't be afraid to ask and laugh. A lot. She consciously starts turning these awkward, confusing moments into learning opportunities. Here's something weird like coming right up at a store. Let's touch base at work and looks confused and then takes a breath and asks what it means.
That takes guts.
It really does. And there's this great relatable story about her at work. She tries to say, it's on my radar, meaning she's aware of it.
Yeah.
But she accidentally says, it's on my laser.
Oh my gosh. Laser.
Laser. Everyone cracks up, but the source emphasizes that Lily feels brave, not embarrassed. She's owning her learning process, mistakes and all.
That's a fantastic attitude. So the big insight here is about mistakes.
Yeah, basically that fluent people don't magically avoid mistakes, especially with idioms and slang. They just navigate through them, often with humor. Slang and idioms stop being these scary, impenetrable barriers and become just another part of the language's dance. And by being brave enough to ask, she starts to understand this secret language. She even starts using some phrases herself, like telling Ava her cooking is fire.
Nice. She's joining the club.
Exactly. Her journal entry sums it up. Every idiom I learn is a new key. A new window, a new way to belong. Learning these isn't just about words, it's about feeling more connected, more part of the culture.
Okay, so she's building her vocabulary, getting the rhythm, tackling slang. What about pure noise and speed? The source brings us to the subway again, right? But this time, she's alone.
Yeah, this is framed as the ultimate test. The noisy, chaotic New York subway. It's the real-life listening test with zero safety nets. No subtitles, no Ava to whisper translations.
Describe that environment again.
Just sensory overload. Rumbling trains, screeching brakes, clacking turnstiles, dozens of people talking fast, often over each other, barely pausing. It's like an environment designed for information overwhelm.
And her first interaction.
Perfect example of the speed. Someone squeezing past at the turnstile says something like, "Excuse me, can I get by? Drop my card? Thanks." All one blur.
Wow.
Lily's confused for just a second, then gets it. Her thought. It was like people were running and talking at the same time.
Yeah. And on the train itself, the announcements.
Just a mush of sound over the speaker. Stand clear of the closing doors, please. Next stop, 14th Street. She's straining, only catching fragment doors. Next stop. Really difficult.
And overhearing conversations. Still tough.
Oh, yeah. She hears a snippet nearby. He straight up dipped, left her hanging.
Okay. Dipped, maybe meaning left. Left her hanging.
Exactly her thought process. She pulls out her phone, makes a note, dipped, left her hanging. Her internal thought is just, I need subtitles for life.
Yeah.
It really shows how much mental energy it still takes to process even short bursts of rapid, informal speech.
So how do you navigate that, physically and mentally, when you're only catching fragments?
Well, she needs to transfer trains. She actually asks a woman sitting near her if this train stops at Eastern Parkway. And the woman gives her this simple but totally crucial tip.
Which is?
Just listen for the bing.
Ah, the bing, the door chimer announcement signal.
Exactly. That little auditory cue becomes her anchor in the noise. She closes her eyes, stops trying to catch every word, and just focuses on the rhythm and those key sounds around the signal.
And it works.
It does. Suddenly, keywords start popping out from the general noise. Next stop, transfer, last stop. She remembers Ava's advice from earlier. You don't need to catch every word, just enough to stay in the game. The bing and those keywords are just enough.
That's a great practical tip.
Yeah.
Any other interactions?
Yeah, there's a moment a man yells out, "Watch your bags, people be stepping all over him." Lily accidentally bumps his bag, apologizes. He's kind about it, and she learns another new phrase from the interaction. Trip over nothing apparently means something like fall over something small or imaginary. The learning opportunities are just constant.
If you're open to them. So she gets where she's going.
She does. Sweating from the sheer mental effort, the source says, but grinning. She made it.
That must have felt like a huge accomplishment.
Totally. Her journal entry nails it. The subway is the ultimate test. Everything moves fast, but I did it. I listened, I asked, I guessed, and I made it. And it leads to this powerful realization. Listening isn't just hearing, it's noticing, feeling, guessing, and trying again. Ava confirms it later. That place is no joke. It validates that it was a real challenge she conquered.
Okay, survive the subway gauntlet. What's next in tackling fast conversations? Seems like she needs to fully jump into group chats now.
Yeah, stepping fully into that unpredictable flow of real-time group conversations. Ava invites her to meet friends in Prospect Park. And the description specifically mentions it will involve a lot of talking.
Uh-oh. That familiar hesitation creeps back in.
A little bit, yeah. But she pushes herself. Her thought process is noted, challenge myself, embrace the awkward, learn out loud. She's really internalized that proactive approach now.
So, the park scene, what's it like?
Described as warm, noisy, relaxed. A group laughing, sipping drinks, sharing snacks. But their words are blending together in this wave of sound. Even just the initial "hi, how are you" type greetings feel fast and merged together. It's definitely a step up in complexity from that first dinner party.
Does she connect with anyone specifically?
She does. There's a girl with pink hair who asks her about learning English in NYC, and Lily is just honest. She says it's hard, fast.
And how does the girl react?
With total understanding. She shares her own relatable story about struggling to learn Spanish, and then gives Lily this amazing validation. Girl, you're doing awesome.
Oh, that's gold. That kind of encouragement means everything.
Doesn't it? And then the group conversation actually turns to talking about how confusing English can be sometimes. They talk about slang, fast talkers, people who mumble. Even tricky regional accents like the Boston accent is mentioned as being a real-life boss-level challenge.
Yeah. Boss level.
Yeah. And Lily starts to smile, realizing even native speakers admit it's tough. She's taking mental notes again. Boss level, something difficult. Mumble, speak unclearly.
So she's learning from their conversation about learning. That's meta.
Totally. And then comes this really significant moment. Lily feels comfortable enough to share her own recent experience, the phone pre-interview she had.
Okay. How does the group react?
This is the amazing part. The source notes that the whole table kind of stops, turns towards her, and the conversation naturally slows down so they can listen to her story. They ask follow-up questions about her hometown, food she misses.
Wow. They made space for her.
Exactly. It's incredibly powerful. It shows it's not just about Lily learning to understand them, it's about them creating an environment where communication is a two-way street. Mutual effort, inclusion. They listened, really listened, and made her feel seen.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And this leads her to seek out even more practice, the speed chat thing.
Yeah, she's clearly building momentum. She decides to go to this event called English Conversation Speed Night at a place called The Nest.
Described as speed dating, but for language practice.
Pretty much. 3 minutes talking with one person, bell rings, move on to the next. The source mentions her palms are sweating, heart's pounding beforehand. It sounds intense.
I bet. How did it go?
It was like a rapid fire exposure to all sorts of English, different speeds, different accents, different personalities. She talks to a Tanya, a Jake, who's a really fast talker using tons of slang, like legit and savage.
Okay.
A French guy also practicing English who uses the phrase shoot the breeze. A woman from New Jersey with a distinct accent. She has to ask, can you repeat that a lot?
Was it okay? Were people patient?
Apparently, yes. The source highlights that people were generally patient, smiling, supportive. It wasn't seen as failure, just part of the process.
That's good.
And one woman says something simple that really sticks with her. You're brave for doing this. Most people wouldn't. Just acknowledging the courage it takes.
Yeah, that's huge. So, after an hour of this,
Yeah.
how did she feel?
Completely exhausted, but also glowing. She realized she didn't just survive it. She actually spoke. She asked questions. She laughed. She even got a sticker that said, I talked my way through it.
Love that sticker.
Right. And her journal takeaway is perfect. Speed conversations are like jumping into cold water. You panic for a second, then you swim. The goal is not to understand every word. It's to stay in the conversation. That's the real success. It really reinforces that idea. Fluency isn't perfection, it's engagement, persistence. She also lists some new slang she picked up. Legit, shoot the breeze, savage, what's up?
Okay, so she's embracing the speed, the group chats, but then the source brings in what it calls the scariest challenge, the phone call.
Yeah, the unexpected phone call, no visual cues, just voice. She gets a call, unknown number. It's Hudson Creative, the company she applied to, calling for a spontaneous pre-interview.
Oh, wow. Immediate panic.
Total panic sets in. Her thoughts are racing. Just live English in real time. No subtitles, no chance to Google words. It feels like the ultimate ambush.
So she takes the call.
Despite the fear, she takes a breath, says yes. Sure, I have time. She struggles a bit at first, asked why she applied, fumbles for words. But she gets through it by deliberately speaking slowly, pausing when she needs to, and asking the interviewer to repeat one question, just once.
Using her strategies.
Yeah.
Then comes the curveball question, right? The unprepared one.
Exactly. The interviewer asks, what's something unique about you that we won't see on your resume? Trying to see how you think on your feet.
What does Lily say? Does she try to give a standard answer?
No, and this is what's amazing. Instead of trying to invent something polished, she leans right into her current reality. She gives this raw, honest, incredibly brave answer.
Which was?
She says something like, I'm learning English fast. I make mistakes, but I ask questions. I study every day. I want to work and grow, and I do not give up when something is hard.
Wow, that's gutsy. How did the interviewer react?
Powerfully. The interviewer, Janine, sounds genuinely impressed according to the source. She says, honestly, I love that answer. Adds that it shows drive and courage. You've got the right attitude.
That's incredible. So her honesty, her vulnerability about the process actually worked in her favor.
Massively. It underlines that authenticity, showing resilience, showing you're willing to learn and face challenges head on that can be way more impactful than pretending to have perfect language skills. Lily is stunned, but so proud afterward. She survived a spontaneous high-stakes call using just her voice, her courage, and trusting the progress she'd made.
And her journal entry reflects that.
Perfectly. Her new personal motto becomes, "Don't wait until you're perfect. Answer anyway." It's a direct challenge to letting that fear of mistakes hold you back. Just go for it.
Love that. Then the narrative shifts a bit to a different kind of unexpected test, getting lost.
Yeah, it pivots to a more everyday but still stressful situation. She's walking in Brooklyn, exploring, and her phone battery dies. Suddenly she's lost, no map, no translator app. Her digital safety net is gone.
Ooh, that feeling of being alone and disoriented.
Exactly. She has to fight that rising panic. She finds a small park, just trying to collect herself, and sees an older musician, Charles, playing the saxophone.
Okay. An unexpected encounter.
A really lovely one, actually. Charles is described as having kind eyes. He notices she looks lost, asks if she needs help, gives her clear, easy-to-follow directions. Lily feels comfortable enough to thank him for his music and admit she's learning English.
It's amazing how a kind face can change everything in those moments.
Isn't it? And she feels comfortable enough to ask him about another phrase she's heard, "I feel you."
Another tricky one. What does Charles say?
He gives this really thoughtful explanation. Says it means, "I understand you," or "I relate to what you're saying." He specifically points out, not about touch, it's about connection.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Connection, not touch.
And Charles offers her some wisdom about learning, too. Reinforces what she's discovering. The best way to learn isn't just listening, it's talking. Mess up, laugh, try again.
Echoing her teacher and her own experience.
Exactly. And then he gives her this fantastic analogy, tying into his music. "Spoken English is like jazz," he says. "Unpredictable, fast, but with practice, you start to feel the rhythm."
English is like jazz. I like that a lot. Feel the rhythm. Don't worry about every single note.
Precisely. And there's this sweet personal touch. Charles gives her a jazz nickname, Lils. It's just this small moment of human connection.
So what does she take away from getting lost and finding Charles?
Her journal entry is really insightful. "Today, I got lost and found a musician. He told me English is like jazz. You don't need to follow every note. You just need to feel the rhythm." It sparks this broader realization for her. The world is full of teachers. You just have to listen. The lesson wasn't just about English. It was about being open, present, finding learning everywhere.
Okay, so all these experiences, the podcast, the parties, the slang, the subway, the phone call, the jazz musician, they're all building towards the final big test described in the source, the actual job interview.
The final boss level, you might say. The in-person job interview at Hudson Creative. Even after months of focused preparation and all these breakthroughs, the nerves are still very real. High stakes.
Does she get any last-minute advice?
She does. She remembers the advice from Ava and also from that young man she met briefly in the waiting room before the phone pre-interview. Basically, listen carefully, ask if you don't understand, speak slowly if you need to, and crucially, they want to know you, not a perfect English speaker.
Good reminders. So the interview itself, how does it go?
It starts calmly enough with Mrs. Patel, the interviewer. Simple opener. "Tell me about yourself." Lily manages to start slowly, speaking clearly. She answers questions about her strengths, how she's handled difficult situations, teamwork, and she uses her strategy asking for repetition when a question comes too fast or she's unsure.
Smart. Did the interviewer push her on speed?
Yes. At one point, Mrs. Patel picks up the pace significantly. Asks specifically about handling tight deadlines and adapting to last-minute changes in plans. This seems like a direct test of her ability to process faster, more complex information under pressure.
The real deal. What does Lily do?
The source notes she takes just a brief pause. You can imagine her drawing on everything she's learned, the active listening, the focused strategies, the courage to ask, the jazz rhythm.
And her answer.
It's great because it's not just about perfect grammar. It's about showcasing her strategy and her mindset honed through all these challenges. She says something like, I listen carefully, I stay flexible, I ask questions to understand new plans, and I focus on solutions, not problems.
Confident, clear, strategic. How does Mrs. Patel react?
With an approving nod, the source says. It shows that her message, her competence, and her approach landed effectively, even if her English wasn't flawless native speed.
So leaving the interview, how did she feel?
A huge sense of relief, but also quiet pride. She tells Ava afterward that, yeah, it was challenging, parts were definitely tough, but she understood most of it. She stayed calm, she asked when she needed to, and she felt she did well overall.
That's fantastic. And her journal reflects this.
Beautifully. She writes, Today I faced fast English at its hardest, a real job interview. It was scary. Sometimes I struggled. But I listened, asked, and answered. I wasn't perfect, but I was brave, and that is progress. She recognized that perfection wasn't the goal. Effective communication and courage were.
And you could really see how all those earlier experiences fed into this moment. The active listening from the podcasts.
Yep. The keyword focus she practiced at the dinner party.
The courage to ask questions she learned dealing with slam.
The ability to stay in the game, honed on the subway.
The resilience from that unexpected phone call.
Even feeling the rhythm, like Charles the musician said, she applied it all. Even recalling phrases she'd picked up casually, like at those cafe hangouts mentioned earlier, hearing things like cooking, meaning doing well, or spin move, or even the conductor's stand clear of the closing doors. All that passive and active input built her overall comfort, allowing her core strategies to really shine when the pressure was on.
So, the big question, the reward for all this hard work and persistence.
Yeah.
Did she get the job?
She did. Gets the offer via email the very next day.
Yes. Amazing.
The source describes this rush of excitement, total relief, calling Ava immediately, shouting the news. It's a wonderful payoff moment.
And they celebrate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Back at the cafe, the same place that saw some of her early struggles and small victories, Ava makes a toast to Lily's courage, her incredible patience, and the fact that she just never gave up.
That's lovely. And Lily herself during the celebration, is she different?
Noticeably different, according to the source. Laughing more freely, easily joining in the fast-paced conversations, buzzing around the table, even telling jokes herself now. She's not just surviving the speed anymore, she's fully participating, enjoying it.
That's a real transformation, isn't it?
It really is. And her final journal entry shared in the source is such a beautiful reflection on the whole journey. She writes, Fast English no longer scares me. It's music, rhythm, and life. Every step, every challenge has shaped me. This job is not just a start, it's a new chapter filled with endless possibilities.
Wow. It really wasn't just about language skills in the end.
Not at all. It was a journey that built deep confidence, resilience, adaptability. It reshaped her path, her dreams, and the core message that comes through so clearly is that mastering a challenge that feels overwhelming like fast English, it isn't about some magic bullet or achieving immediate perfection.
Right.
It's about persistence, consistent, active effort, using smart strategies like active listening, shadowing, focusing on rhythm and context over every single word, being brave enough to make mistakes, laugh, and ask questions, and never losing sight that the real goal is connection, connecting with people.
So wrapping this up, what does Lily's story mean for you listening right now? Her experience really does offer a powerful blueprint, doesn't it, for tackling any skill or environment where information feels overwhelming, too fast, or like some kind of secret club.
Absolutely. The strategies she learned, they apply way beyond language learning. Whether you're trying to get up to speed in a demanding new job, understand a really complex topic you're studying, navigate a fast-moving social group, or just handle the fire hose of information online, the principles hold true.
Listen actively.
Look for the patterns, the key signals. Don't get bogged down trying to catch every single detail.
Be brave enough to ask for clarification when you're lost.
Learn to laugh off the stumbles because they will happen.
And always remember that connection, understanding the people involved, is often the most important part.
Exactly.
So here's a final thought for you to maybe chew on after this deep dive. What skill, what environment, what kind of information flow feels like fast English to you right now? Where do you feel like you're struggling to keep up?
Good question.
And drawing inspiration from Lily's journey, from her setbacks and her successes, what's just one small, brave step you could take today, maybe even right now, to start finding its rhythm, to move from just hearing the noise to actively noticing, feeling, and beginning to participate?
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into Lily's really inspiring journey, navigating the fast-paced world of real-life English and finding her voice within it.
Yeah, thank you. Keep listening, keep learning, and definitely keep asking questions.